All right, so we're gonna get started with the chain. So we're gonna go ahead and start with a slip knot. We're gonna put our hook through our loop and then pulling that long side that's connected to your yarn. You can just tighten it up a little bit, not too tight. We still want a little bit of wiggle room. If you do tighten it too tight, you can hold on to your tail and just kind of wiggle your yarn and it'll loosen back up. All right, so in order to do our chain, I always make sure that I keep my hook in front of my yarn and I'm holding onto my tail with my other fingers. I'm gonna keep my hook right in front and I just spin, that's all I do. Not a big movement. I just grab my yarn and I'm gonna spin it towards me and then I'm just gonna pull that yarn through that loop. That's chain one. We're gonna go back in front of our yarn. I'm gonna grab it with my hook. I'm gonna spin it towards me. And I'm just gonna go through that loop. That's 2 chains. As I work, I continue to kind of choke up and I will hold the chains now. This helps me make sure that my chains are a little bit more uniform in size. So I'm gonna keep my hook in front of my yarn, hook it over and spin towards myself, pull through the loop, that's chain 3, in front of the yarn, hook it, spin towards yourself, and pull through the loop. These are your chains. So we have 4 chains so far. You can just keep going, however far the pattern calls, or if we're just making a square, 20 is a good number. So 1, 2, 3, 4, so just go through 5, yarn over, spin, go through, 6, yarn over, spin through, 7, 8, 9, 10. You can stop and check and make sure they're looking similar in size so you don't have one that's like, let's say I was still holding down here and it's getting harder. My yarn's all kind of wonky. And if I do this, maybe I remember to choke up. And I'm going to start having some that are not uniform in size. I might have one that's big and just get some gaps in there. As yarn tends to stretch out as it's used, blankets, anything like that. We don't want it so tight that we can't put our hook in it, but we also don't want it to be so loose that it's going to create giant holes as the normal wear happens. So that's where we're going to try to stay as uniform as possible. That only happens, honestly, with practice. And do not be afraid of going slow. At first, that's the best way to get it right. So yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through. I always like to make sure my hook is face down anyways, because the yarn makes a natural teardrop when you're working. So if you put your hook down, it's going to slide right through there and you're not going to catch your yarn. So less chances of splitting the ply apart and then getting weird bubbles as you're working. And that is your chain. Ta-da! So this would be your chain side. And this is going to be the back side. Kind of looks like a bumpy braid. These are the pretty V's. That is not